Okay, thank you again for staying with us on your ultimate news and current affairs program on television. We'll go straight now into the heart of the show. I love to call it the heart of the show because that's a major talking point where we unveil, x-ray, and highlight some of the topical issues locally and internationally to help you make sense of them all and then help you make appropriate decision and take action. All right, so once again, we thank you for your time. Okay, exactly yesterday, it became 1 year since the present administration came into office, led by our very own Governor Godwin Nogerase Obaseki. But the administration has been blighted in a sense by the non-appointment of commissioners, the constitution of the Edo State Executive Council. That for a long time has set tongues wagging. And when that will end, I don't know. But last week, there was some sort of excitement in the air, so to speak, when news came that the list of commissioners have finally been released. I'm not so sure if there was a government statement or maybe an appropriate person in the government that authorized that release. It was basically in the social media space and within the realms of speculation and rumors. But how true that is, we'll get to find out in the course of this discussion. While that is on the one hand, the federal government is planning to borrow $4 billion and about 710 million euros. It has attracted reaction because some are saying, look, it's as though the future of Nigeria is being mortgaged in such a way and manner that even up to the 10th generation will keep paying. One civil society organization, Social, Economic, and Accountability Rights, SERAP, has called on the National Assembly leadership, the Senate, and the House of Representatives not to approve these loans requests by Mr. President. Well, all of this we'll look at in the next couple of minutes. Let me thank very especially Fares Okbere. Is a businessman, social commentator, and an activist. Fares, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We'll also be having Idris Zakari, who is also a politician, public affairs commentator, joining us in the next few minutes. But we'll get the conversations of the one. Let's start from home. As they say, charity begins at home. The issue of non-constitution of Edo State Executive Council has more or less become a laughing stock, so to speak, because you could see eminent personalities, some senior advocates of Nigeria, running commentaries on this issue. And I saw a post you made on Facebook where you said, look, people still need to be patient with Mr. Governor. He knows what he's doing, and it's for the best interest of the state. That's a record set by Governor Godwin Obaseki 1 year after. I mean, the highest record we had was President Muhammadu Buhari. That was 6 months after. Is this something we should encourage?
Not really. But I don't think we should debate records, but I think if we go back to the elections last year, you could see that different forces came together to work together for the emergence of the second tenure of Governor Godwin Obaseki. And the truth is that there have been some issues, some are political and others are not, that have hindered the release or the appointment of the commissioners. And but I think there's light at the end of the tunnel right now, because I'm aware that in the next couple of days, maybe before the end of this week, we will see the authentic list of commissioners appointed by His Excellency. You know, it's kind of fortunate that the issues that necessitated this dragging and delay in appointing the commissioners had dragged for so long. But I hope we don't get to see something like this next time. You know, it's not something that, because it delays governance, it brings things backward, and hopefully next time we can see that once somebody is elected, we can see a cabinet formed in the next 1 month at most. You know, but this is not. We're happy now that we're at the end of the tunnel, but we hope not to see something like this next time again. Okay,
but it's important that we engage the issues, because if we're not going to have a repeat of this next time, it means we have learned from it. But yes, there's always a feeling that we don't learn from history. We don't even learn from other people's mistakes.
That's true. You know, but you know, in this one, sometimes politicians have to find a middle ground. You know, they always have to be a middle. Sometimes you give and you take. So that's where you reach that middle ground. And I think it's been that everybody wants to get their own that has caused some of these issues that have led to the delay in releasing the names of the commissioners. You know, but like I said, hopefully we've learned from this and it will not repeat itself again. You know, that's something that I believe that everybody, all the key stakeholders have learned from what transpired in this whole process. And hopefully we won't see a repeat of it again.
Okay, so what do you make of the insinuations that this could be unconnected with lack of experience to manage the political aspect of governance on the part of the governor?
That's not true at all. The governor, as you can see, people keep saying that the governor is not a politician, is not, doesn't have that political experience. That's not correct. You can't, if you see from the way the governor won the last election, you could tell that the governor has a lot of political experience, and he has been able to manage his private side and also the political side. He was able to bring a merge, and it's quite unfortunate that, you know, because last elections, like I rightly said, there were a lot of forces that came together, and it took the brilliance of the governor in terms of the political brilliance to be able to gather those forces together to achieve victory, you know. And to say that the governor is not politically experienced is not correct, because if you are not politically experienced, you cannot combine those forces. You know, people already wrote the governor off last year. At this time, we always say, "Oh, the governor will not win. The governor will not win." You know, a lot of people can say the governor will finish. Particularly those in the APC kept saying the governor was finished. Like, you know, in politics, it was finished. But we saw a reemergence of the governor. We saw in the elections, we saw the vote, we saw everything. So we can't say that the governor does not have political experience. That's okay.
All right, Idris Zakari is joining us now. Idris, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Okay, let's get to our perspectives on this long wait for the constitution of Edo State Executive Council.
Well, 1 year down the line, it is unfortunate that a governor that won on popular vote, even those of us who were opposed to him, believed that he won the elections. And even when we went to court, we did not question whether he won or not. We were questioning his credentials for winning. And 1 year down the line, he has not been able to, you know, constitute a cabinet, effectively putting governance on a full stop in Edo State. Because there's no way you cannot dispute it. There are certain things that the governor cannot do, that only the State Executive Council can do. And the State Executive Council in this case means the governor, his deputy, his secretary, and the commissioners in the various ministries and ministries and head of departments in the various parastatals. So the governor has put everything on hold, and it buttresses the fact that we argued earlier that we have a government of nothing, essentially. Achieves nothing, is achieving nothing, will achieve nothing. You know, and you know, scripture said, when the foundation is destroyed, what can even the righteous do? You understand? So even if we have waited this long, and we are hoping that soon enough he will constitute his cabinet, we are hoping that having spent this time 1 year, he is probably arranging to import angels from heaven. Those he is going to appoint will not be Edo people. Because if it is Edo people, even if you were sorting through the 4 million Edo lights, if you spend 1 year sorting through 4 million Edo lights, you will sort through all of them. So he has spent 1 year looking for a cabinet of less than maybe 18 or 20. And today, even as we speak, although we are hearing from the corners now, it's a government of corner, we are hearing from the corners now that there is no, the list is almost out, but effectively we have not seen a list. So it has reinforced the belief of majority of Edo people. The last election was won on a fundamental lie, which was that a certain godfather wanted to hijack Edo State. Now we have left Edo State for him to govern, and he is unable to govern. Even the basic as governance is in appointing means it's at the discretion of the governor. The governor wakes up one morning and decides, on the Duke, be a commissioner for me, come and work with me, I like you. But as basic as selection of commissioner is unable to achieve. A man who cannot select commissioners, do you expect him to build flyovers in Ring Road? It's practically impossible.
Okay, now you said is a government of corner or is a government of nothing.
Yes.
But that has not stopped salaries from being paid. That has not stopped projects ongoing. And a whole lot of things that are happening in the state. I'm just asking a question.
Yes, yes.
How do you justify these things happening?
I will answer quickly.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan, that Taliban has effectively taken over. There is a vacuum in governance. Civil servants are still being paid. In Somalia, civil servants are still being paid. In Libya, civil servants are still being paid. Does that mean that those states are not effectively paid states? A leaderless state will still be, as long as there is services, there must be payment. If there is no services, there cannot be payment. So a governor that bases his achievement, his total, the entire gamut of his personality in governance on payment of salaries, it already tells you strictly that is a failed government. So paying of salary is nothing. Paying of salary is for a giving. When people work, will you not pay them before? Are you not expected to pay them? They are working for you, you should pay them. So if private individuals can pay, if you and I, those of us that run small businesses can pay, look, ordinary permanent secretary should be able to sign a payment voucher. All right? So that is not what we are talking about.
So, but you have those structures in place. Permanent secretaries in the ministries, heads of department in the ministries, and these human beings that are working with them.
Are not members of the state executive council. They are career civil servants. There are certain things they cannot sign.
But even without them, the commissioners can't thrive. Do you realize that?
Of course, that is why. But without the commissioners, the permanent secretary can do nothing.
But they are working.
No, they only go to their offices to do the normal thing they do. A permanent secretary cannot sign a project of 500 million. A permanent secretary cannot present a proposal of 2 billion. A permanent secretary does not sit according constitutionally. There must be a state executive council meeting. A permanent secretary cannot sit in the state executive council because it's not a state executive. It's a career civil servant. So we should go back to governance. All these shenanigans about permanent secretary can do the work of commissioner. The constitution envisaged that there is a job of the commissioner and there is the job of the permanent secretary. You cannot expect the permanent secretary to do both his job and the job of the commissioner. That's why I told you earlier that is a government of nothing. Achieve nothing, achieving nothing will achieve nothing.
Are you a prophet of doom?
No, I'm not a prophet of doom. I'm a prophet of reality.
It's obvious. I mean, thank you for asking that question.
Okay. Fares, yeah. I've heard people labeled His Excellency of having dictatorial tendencies. I don't know what can you relate with that in line with this conversation?
What do you mean by, dictatorial tendencies? If we had a governor who had dictatorial tendencies, maybe the police will be waiting for Mr. Zakari outside this place when we finish this interview. We have freedom of speech in Edo. People are free to criticize the government. There's nobody has ever come out to say you can criticize the government. You're free to say what you like about the government, but say it in a way that what we see is people don't criticize constructively. You can't come on TV and start to spew out lies and half truths, because first of all, like I said earlier, the issue of the delay in the releasing the list of commissioners was due to political factors. And we all know that different forces came together last year to elect this governor. And it's not just at the discretion of one man at that stage to just say, oh, we appoint that. You have to work as a leader, get other people involved in the process to make these selections and bring out the best for the people. You can't just sit down after an election and say, I'm the only person who will appoint. So if you were governor tomorrow, you just sit down, you won't even consider the interest of your party people, those who came together to support you to become governor. You just take the mantle by yourself and say, well, I'm putting who I like. In that way, you'll be creating more problems. So there's been issues, and the issues have been resolved. But to say that Governor Obaseki has dictatorial tendencies, that's far from it. You can tell that Governor Obaseki is a very charismatic leader, somebody who listens to people, who gives people the opportunity to express themselves, and who's interested in the growth and progress of Edo. So to characterize him in that manner that's not true.
All right, let me get your take on this.
Strictly speaking, if not for the respect for our men in uniform, I would have said Major General Godwin Obaseki, but since he was never in the army, I will not.
And he has no intention of being in the army.
He has no intention. But just to underscore the dictatorial tendency, the dictatorial nature of the governor. Look, let us tell ourselves the truth. A governor that has sat alone in the state executive for the past 1 year, 1 whole year. If it takes you 1 year to appoint commissioners,
you said alone. He has a deputy governor. He has a secretary to the government. He has a chief of staff.
The governor is a full-blown dictator. Look,
you need to tone that down.
The governor is like a full-blown dictator. Abi, share have met NBC standard now. Let me start from the top. The governor was elected with a deputy. He appointed a secretary and a chief of staff. After how many months? You have appointed chief of staff. As we speak today, there are no civil commissioners in Edo State. That is given. As we speak today, there are no local government chairmen and vice chairmen. There is no local government administration as a whole in Edo State today. As we speak today, we have a dysfunctional state house of assembly that is run by 10 persons inside the governor's office in government house. Edo State House of Assembly that they say they be renovating for almost 2 years now. It is lying there in Ring Road. It has become a den of touts. People go there to do all sorts of criminal. It has become a den of criminal. What should be an icon of democracy in Edo State is now a den of criminals. They remove the roof, they put sand in the gate. We have been waiting for them to renovate. See, we must return Edo State to governance. And election is not tomorrow. I am a Democrat. The governor won elections. He must go back to governance. This is rulership, not governance. How can only you be doing it? How do you manage to do it? How do you sign contracts? Because the state executive council must approve a contract for it to be signed. How have you been signing? And somebody is trying to convince me that this is not the height of dictatorialism? Unacceptable.
Okay, Faris, yeah. Something that tends to bring these dictatorial tendencies home, perhaps, has to do with the compulsory vaccination, presentation of vaccination certificate for civil servants. What do you make of that? Even when it appears that even in civilized countries, you don't have such regulations.
And who says that there's no such regulations?
So I'm listening to you.
In America, the president of America recently said that if you're not vaccinated, you can't enter government offices. So what's the difference? The governor has not forced anybody to take vaccine. The governor has not given the police any mandate to arrest anybody who is not vaccinated. What the government says is that to enter government offices where there are other people, you must be vaccinated. That's to enter those places. But you can choose to work from your home. You can choose not to go to public places. Nobody has told anybody that you must take any vaccine. So that information is not correct. That information is I don't know where it's coming from, but some people have chosen to politicize the issue of this vaccine, which is very unfortunate, and it's not good, because this is a public health emergency, and people are dying every day from the virus. And the governor, as the chief security officer of the state, is trying to do his best to see that we are in a position where we can defeat this virus or contain it. So, vaccines, over 3.5 billion doses of vaccines have been given around the world. And here, we are still living with the lies, half-truths, and all of that. I understand that every part of the world, there is this hesitancy for vaccine. But, the way we are promoting the lies here is more dangerous for us. First of all, no governor can tell you that you must. You must. He has never used that word. What he says is that those who want to enter public offices must be vaccinated. He is not saying that if you don't want to enter public offices, you must take the vaccine. If you want to enter public offices where other people are working, you must be vaccinated to keep you safe and to keep others safe. Okay. That's the idea. And this issue of talking about a dictatorial tendency, because that's where you brought that question up.
Okay.
First of all, we know the governor who stood on Ring Road and told a helpless trader to go and die. You will never see that from a governor like Obaseki. We know those who went out and did all sorts of things that they did. Not here to make comparison, but if a governor who is backed by law is saying that please go and get vaccinated, he's saying it because he understands and he has led by example. He is vaccinated. Most of the government officials, they are all vaccinated. I saw recently the MD of UBTH on radio explaining, on ITV explaining that, you know, these things are not about the governor. It's not about the governor. The governor is vaccinated. The governor has access to good medical care. He is speaking for the people, and he is passionate about the people. And then to go back to what he said something about the House of Assembly, that the roof was removed. Just about last month, ITV did a report on the work going on in that same place. And you can see that it's even being painted as we speak. So when you just kind of give false information on the TV like this, it's not fair. You don't come on air and just blow out lies on a TV that everybody is listening to you. You pass through Ring Road when you come here. When you are going back, stop at Ring Road and look at that building. It's being painted. So hopefully in the next few weeks, these people will return back. Nobody stop your own, the APC members from not going there. Okay. So if they think that they were elected, they should go there. So it's not just come on air and just say things that are not correct.
All right, Fares, Idris, yeah.
The truth is, I understand my brother Fares quite all right. It is almost impossible to defend the Obaseki administration. So you have to sound persuasive and conciliatory. But let us face it, we are brothers, we both live in this city. Look, you don't need to tell the people what is happening at Ring Road. As we speak, people are watching at Ring Road. They are looking at the state of they are saying, this one they talk through, this one not talk through. Now, about COVID, when COVID landed in Nigeria, like a private jet, it landed in Lagos. At a point, COVID was moving in the streets of Lagos, literally speaking. Lagos had the highest number, quickly followed by Abuja, followed by Port Harcourt. Edo was down the list. Today, Edo is the only one. They say the governor was begging. The governor did not beg. He stated it categorically on air. You watch it and I watch it. That you will not be able to go to church. You will not be able to go to mosque. I want to believe you also said you will not be able to go to Ayelala Shrine because that one was not part of his own. He only said church, not be able to access church, mosque, shopping malls, banks. It was on air. It was popular. It was everywhere. This is not how a Democrat speaks. The vaccines are good, quite all right. We encourage people to take it, but it is not by force. You cannot force me to take medical care. It's not you that told me how to prevent myself from HIV, how to prevent myself from tuberculosis, how to prevent myself from polio. We decided it. Parents decided how to best protect their children. It is not you that, even in the Western world that you are referring to, people are rebelling against the vaccine. People don't need it. All right, here you brought it. Let me tell you why the governor is so interested. In this year's budget, he can confirm, thank God it's close to the government, 12 billion was budgeted for COVID-19. So there must be justification for that money to be spent. True or false? True. That is why they should leave us alone. Leave Edo people alone. You see that you are working or you are not working. If you don't want to work, run out your administration and go. You don't have to hold us by the jugular. We are not your problem. Edo people did not commit any crime to vote for the governor. He should do his job and let Edo people live their lives. That is my point. So talking about chief security officer on vaccine issues, the governor a medical doctor, because you don't have a health commissioner now, you will not know what is going on. The governor will not know what is going on. He does not have a health commissioner. You don't have a health commissioner, you want to enforce COVID-19 vaccine. How is it even possible? There's no medical doctor in your cabinet. How is it possible? Chief security officer for COVID-19. What of Auchi Road? Why are you not chief security officer in Auchi Road? Where people have not gone to Auchi for the past 2 years. I'm from Auchi. Fear will not allow you to drive through that road. People don't go to Abuja anymore. So let us face the issue. The governor has to backtrack. People need to tell the governor the truth. Those who are close to the governor should tell him that, Governor, your popularity is draining. If the governor runs for an election today, he will lose because his popularity is draining. Ekenwa Road stands still. The one they have done before is breaking. Ekosodi Road breaking. There is no major project going on. Everything is on hold because you have refused to be a governor for everybody. You have been a governor for only yourself and those you are paying their salaries. So this is not the way to go. This is not the way to go. So the governor has to backtrack. Those of us who are speaking like this, we don't hate the governor. We love him. I love the governor. He is my governor. Yes, and he will be my governor for at least the next 3 years. So let us work together and build this state. Yes, let us work together. You cannot be outside. You cannot be acting as though you are not elected to govern the people. Everything is on hold. You are emphasizing. You know, they throw up controversies every day so that they will distract from governance. Today you hear COVID-19 vaccine. Tomorrow you hear COVID-19 vaccine. Next tomorrow you hear what of football? Why are the street lights not working? Street light working will solve insecurity by at least 20%. Why is it not working? But you are more interested in COVID-19, CSO for COVID-19. Okay. Please let us face the issue.
All right, let's pause you there. Get Fares to respond to some of this issue before
thank you very much.
Escalate our conversation.
First of all, he mentioned the Benin Auchi Road, apparently in terms of security. And it's sad that someone who speaks so eloquently like this would not know that the federal government is in charge of the police in this country. I've said it here several times before. As a governor of a state, you don't have the power to even fire a constable of the Nigerian police force.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
We have
you're just chief security officer
exactly,
in name.
In name. You're just in name. And that has been an issue. We've mentioned it here several times before, that the governor can only assist the security officers, but he cannot give them a mandate or force them to do what they are supposed to do. We see in several states where the governor will ask the commissioner of police to go and do something, and then the counter instruction will come from Abuja, and then the commissioner of police will take that instruction. I went to Uroming on Friday, and if you see the condition of that road, if you see the condition of the issue why people don't even travel that road, it's not only about security. The road is terrible, and that's why he doesn't go home. And he's not bold enough to say it, because where is FEMA on that road? Before now, when the last federal administration, we saw the way they were maintaining the road. They were even constructing it. Right now, there's nobody walking on the road, let alone there's no security on the road. And here he's trying to put it on the governor of the state, where he knows that security of the country rests with the president of this country. That's number two. Then he talks about street lights. Now let me go talk a little about the issue of the street lights. It's kind of unfortunate that he doesn't know how these things work. You know, in the last administration of Oshomole, 900 million naira was spent annually to buy diesel to power only Airport Road. 900 million naira, almost 1 billion naira annually, just Airport Road, just to power it. They were using diesel to power it every day. And then when the governor came, they started this work on the Oshomole Power. And the governor, if you go now, you see that most of the government offices, the secretariat, the government house, central hospital, a lot of the government buildings have been connected to Oshomole Power, bringing down the cost of running these offices to a bare minimum. And then they have 24/7 power. 24/7 power. Now, the governor says, I won't spend diesel to power street lights. I will not spend 5 billion in a year to power street lights in Benin. What we will do is that when Oshomole is completed, we'll start to connect it. And if you go right now, I can even show you pictures on my phone. The Airport Road, if you enter Airport Road now, you can even confirm. You can go to Airport Road and you see that contractors are removing the old lights in Airport Road. They are putting new ones, which are being connected to Oshomole Power. Because it doesn't make sense for you to spend almost 1 billion to power a street light in Airport Road, a stretch of about 8 kilometers. You power it for almost 1 billion in a year. That's not including Sapele Road and every other place. So what the government is doing now is trying to reconnect these street lights to a grid where you know that we can have power
Steadily.
Without trying to burn fossil fuel. Okay. And that should even be commendable by the opposition. But because we have an opposition that, you know, with all due respect to them, they are kind of bereaved of ideas. All they want to see is just government just pump money and waste it and then put us in debt. They conveniently forgot that there was a time where they borrowed over 300 billion naira. Edo was owing, and then this same government has been doing its best to try to bring that debt down. And how did they borrow those money? When you continue to spend billions in just to power street lights, when this same street light, you can bring innovative ideas like what the government introduced, innovative ideas, work with a private company, develop a Osoma power, then buy power from them cheaply, and power the government offices, schools, and the street lights, which they're in the process of doing. As we speak now, go to airport, you see that they are removing the former lights and putting efficient ones that can be connected to someone, which has already been ongoing. The ones in Ring Road have been removed. If you see that all the lights in Ring Road have been removed, they've been replaced with new ones. Now they're in Airport Road. When they are done, they will enter Sapele Road and replace them. They enter other streets and they put new ones. What's the essence of people? Other countries, people are turning to wind power, turning to solar power to power their homes and their cities. And then we are still shouting here that the government should continue using diesel to power street lights in 2021.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. Idris, yes.
Anytime we engage Obaseki and his people, they will bring big grammar to confuse the people.
And these realities. Are they not realities?
No, these are big grammars.
What do you mean they are big grammars?
What people want to see is light. The light that was on Airport Road is not bad. You are removing it to put another one. So do what with the last one.
You see what I say? What I say, right, doesn't understand.
Let's go to issue. You know, in one breath, my good brother here told us that the governor is the chief security officer as it pertains to COVID-19. But he is no longer pertaining to the security of lives and property of Edo people, which was the oath he swore at Ogbemudia Stadium just about a year ago, to protect the lives, the security and welfare of Edo people. Now let us go for that.
If I can get
a security, a governor that takes 700 million thereabout as security vote monthly will tell you that he's not in charge of policing.
What's your source?
It is in the budget. You just go to the budget and check. Or are you telling me that the governor is not taking security votes? All the governors take, everybody all take. You cannot account for it. But yet, our policemen, let me tell you, if you go to the police station now, they may not even have vehicle to follow you to go and arrest a criminal. You cannot give police even basic logistics. You cannot mobilize the police, 100, 200 policemen to out to quell that crisis that is ongoing there. And he was talking about, he told us, let us not tell lies. When did the last administration borrow 300 billion? It's not existing anywhere. The highest, was the 25 billion bond, which was almost repaid before they left office. This government has borrowed more. I can tell you that. But it's a government of secrecy, man no man. So you will never hear it. The one we knew was close to the election, about $150 million in dollars. That's what they borrowed, and they don't tell the truth. The one we are saying is the last division borrowed, and they did some work, and we saw roads, we saw street lights, we saw markets, we saw everything. Now there's nothing going on. Urban market you promised to build, you did not build. The other market in close to MMWay, Murtala Mohammed Junction, bonds you did not build. Look, when it rains now, you need your cars need amphibious features to be able to move in Benin City. You need a canoe to move around in Benin City when it rains. Nothing you are not doing. Some other project that they did halfway for you, you did not continue. Roads that you are doing bad. TB road you did flooded. Nothing is going on. COVID-19 we must take. We say we will not take. You say we will not go to church again. What is going on? That's what we are asking the governor.
Okay, because you raised
those of us who are telling the governor this are the ones who truly love the governor. I want the governor to succeed. I want to be able to stay in Edo State. Okay. I want to be able to raise my family.
Let me make a final point for you before we escalate the issue.
If you love the governor, you won't come on air and attract lies.
I don't have his number. I don't have access to it, so I will say it here.
And first of all, you talk about the governor borrowing money. You said, the water storm that was done halfway left for him, he has not completed. The water storm project that the former governor borrowed 35 billion from the capital market. 35 billion from the capital market.
Okay, that's even the cross of the matter.
Yes, 35 billion from the capital.
Viewers, which one are you going to believe? 35
billion from the capital market, and squandered, completely squandered. Completely squandered.
You have to bring the former governor spokesman to come and tackle you.
And that issue has been lingering, and then you saw it when the governor went to that site and said that they even do it in a way that water cannot even flow in it. And that's what we'll be saying. And he still has the effrontery to be talking about flooding. When you invested 35 billion of those people's money, borrowed money from capital market that people are expected to pay, people are expected to pay, pumped it into a project that failed, and we still come on TV and be saying, oh, Obaseki abandoned the project. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Now he said that police cannot even buy fuel to go and make an arrest. And he's a member of the APC.
I'm not a member
and
of the
you haven't been able to tell the president that there's serious need for police reforms in Nigeria. And even if the president cannot reform the police, let's reform the process that makes it easier for the security of a state to be with the governors, not just as a figurehead in terms of a chief security officer, as we say. Does the chief security officer, as you put it, as a governor, does he have power to employ or fire police officers? He doesn't. He doesn't. All of that comes from Abuja. Then he mentioned 700 million security vote. You know, people just throw figures. You know, they just throw figures. And then I like it because you ask him his source. I would like him to quote his source.
He said the budget. he said the answer. He said the budget.
Father should correct me. What is the security vote of the government? No, say it. Thank God.
He said 700 million naira.
Yes.
The government collects 700 million naira. My brother, let's be careful when we say things.
Oh,
so that, you know, this is a national TV.
Okay.
Let's be very careful.
Fares, what is the figure?
What is the security vote of the government?
What's the figure?
I'm not going to give out a figure that I don't know.
Okay.
You cannot come here and say the governor collects 700 million naira security votes monthly. Okay. On which budget is the government collecting? Do you know how much is that for a year? You don't just come and say what is the security vote. The security vote of the president? Have you ever mentioned it?
We are discussing the governor now.
No.
When the president's time comes, we will say it.
Have you ever mentioned the security vote of the president?
This is governor.
This is you.
Okay.
You mentioned 700.
That's a matter for another day. That's a matter for another. I just want us to quickly our conversation.
That's not correct.
Just hold on. Just hold on. Fares and Zekeri.
That's not correct.
Let's escalate the conversation because in the course of the analysis, we talked extensively about, or both of you talked extensively about the borrowing in the state, whether in the past and even in the present, and maybe in the future, I don't know. But the one that is of great concern to Nigerians now is by the federal government. $4 billion, 710 million euros. And reactions have been trailing that. Serap did a very interesting request from the Senate President and as well as the Speaker House of Representatives, asking that we need to know all that has been borrowed since 2015 should be accounted for. Until that is done, no more borrowing, according to them. What do you make of this? Let me start with you, Idris.
Like I always said, I'll be the last person to criticize anybody that needs to borrow for anything. But your capacity, to service your borrowing is what matters. Okay? You see, even when I was criticizing the governor, I did not criticize him for borrowing.
I will remind you.
My argument has been consistently that when you borrow, you must use this money, attach it to a project. Okay? The US, as of today, is the highest debtor nation in the world and is the most powerful economy in the world. There is no justification for needless borrowing like we have been doing in Nigeria. And even by our state, if we aggregate the borrowing from all the 36 states and the federal government, Nigeria is already deep inside the ocean of indebtedness. So let me insist here that the government, like Serap said, must account for what it is borrowing for. When they borrowed from China for Lagos Ibadan, at least I have been to Lagos. I have been to the train station at Antonio, what is it called now? This place in Lagos, and I have seen. So it then means that one was spent. All this new borrowing now, what are you spending it for? That is the question we should be engaging the government. And how are you planning to pay back? You cannot borrow for our children that we have not born. We have not children yet unborn. Okay? So in Edo State, for example, all the borrowing that has gone on in the past 6 years, because my brother here, Fares, forgets that this government has been in office for 6 years. for 5 years, all the borrowing that has gone on for the past 5 years, what have you achieved with it? A child that was born 5 years ago is already now in KG1. What have you achieved for that
This
child?
government has been in place for 6 years,
5
years.
5 years.
How?
5 years.
How?
4 years and 1 year in the new administration.
How? I need you to clarify that.
4 years now, first term.
Yes, that's what. Okay, 4 years first
As
term.
governor.
Okay, then 5 years.
And
second,
one other year, that's 5 years
5
now.
years, okay.
Approximately 5 years.
Okay.
So they have been in office for 5 years. All the borrowing that Edo State has done, backyard borrowing, because there is no state, there is no public hearing.
What do you mean? What do you mean backyard?
When I say backyard borrowing, means when you, at least federal government, so now you are hearing it. It was taken to the state, to the National Assembly. It was said on air. People are beginning to question the borrowing of the federal government because we have the information. Do you have the information of the borrowing of Edo State government? It is what the Benin man calls obubuyeye. The more you look, the less you see.
Faris, let me get your reactions on this.
Now let me try to help my brother here. He's struggling with this fact. First of all, before you borrow money in Nigeria as a state, there's I think it was during Jonathan's time, states were borrowing recklessly. So he now made it compulsory that before you borrow money, it has to be approved by the National Debt
Management Office.
Debt management of the DMO.
Yes, DMO.
Yeah.
So, and Debt Management Office, they are not an arm of Edo State government. The Debt Management Office in Abuja is not an arm of Edo State government. It's not an agency of Edo State government. If you have, their website is there, it's open. Everybody can access it. Before you borrow money, they make it public. So when he says that the state is doing Obuwe borrowing, tell me in plain terms where Edo State government has borrowed money from the last 4 years. Which bank Edo State government has borrowed money from in the last 4 years? I'll leave that question to him. Now, your question to him was mainly based on the borrowing by the federal government. And then he said that he saw a project in Lagos, a train project.
Lagos-Ibadan train project.
The Lagos-Ibadan train project is less than 150 kilometers of rail line. The China government and the CACC built that project at the cost of $6.5 billion. $6.5 billion. In France, the French government is building a new line that would start from Paris and end in Milan. A journey of about close to 900 kilometers. They are building for $1.something billion. 1.something billion euros, which is about $2.something billion. So my brother here is celebrating a project that is not even half of that size for $6.5 billion without asking serious questions. Who are those using foreign debt to cripple Nigeria? Because what they do in the name of borrowing, in the name of saying they are borrowing, is that they go to these countries, tell them to come and do a project. The project is grossly overinflated. And then monies are returned to them, and they come and say, "Oh, we've done something with it."
There's no
How do you even justify a project, a rail line of less than 150 kilometers for $6.5 billion? $6.5 billion. You only hear that in Nigeria. And then this government, which they are so afraid to even say the truth out, have borrowed over $40 billion. And right now, our budget and
what's your source? I mean, ask that question.
You can go to the debt manager office.
Okay.
The debt manager this website is there.
Okay.
And you can do it. If you just go online, Google Nigerian debts, and you see the increase. 27 trillion naira borrowed in between when Buhari came in 2015. At the point we were even repaying our debts, but right now we are spending almost 30% of our budget to service debts, and that's a very big problem. And you don't add another 4.something billion dollars and 700 million euros to that same debt, which means we will now be looking at maybe 35% of our budget, which should go into capital projects. That's why you see a complete failure of capital projects in Nigeria. Right now, tell me anywhere in Nigeria now that you see Julius Berger or ROCC or any major construction companies working. The Benin Warri Saple Road, was it like that 10 years ago? It's completely failed. The Benin Auchi Abuja Road, completely failed, no work, nothing is happening there. The Benin Ondo Road, the same story. The only place we still have maybe small hope, where people are still able to manage right now, is the Benin Ofosu Road, which was built by the past administration. Because it's probably they completed it before they left office. Right now, this administration, last 2 years, they said they were going to work on the Benin Auchi Road. They were going to continue the project. And then what they put on the project was only about 3.5 kilometers. After they did that patchy work on 3.5 kilometers, they left. But how can you not even see those things? Because a lot of the money that we should have been using for capital projects are not being used to service debts. These debts are borrowed, distributed to Mieti Allah and the rest of them to do things that
you know, there's no way you can say that here, and then, because you cannot substantiate that.
And then Nigerians unborn are left with a burden. You know what it means right now, Sonny? As you are sitting here now, you are already owing over ₦1 million that you are owing. And when these debts come, this other one come, you will be owing over $1,300,000.
How did you come about this mathematics?
Yes, do
this
it. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's very simple. Do your calculation. $40.4 billion. Divide it by 200 million Nigerians, and you see how much each Nigerian is owing. If you have to do it per capita, you see how much each Nigerian. That's not even inclusive of the former debts we have. I'm just talking about the debts
from
currently
2015 to 20.
Currently.
Okay, let's go.
That's the problem, and they will not say it.
What's the way out of this?
Fares will always say, it's not good to be lying to the people. You understand? I have said it before here, and I want to say it again. I am not a big fan of the Buhari administration, but whatever is ascribed to somebody, we must always give it to the person. My anger, my vexation with the Edo State government is that they always ascribe what is not their own to their own. Like the Osiomo power plant, it's not their own. It's a private project. They say it's their own. That's my annoyance with them and the way they have over-bloated the COVID-19 pandemic. But let us go to the issue. I want to give Fares this. He will work on it when he gets home. There is no administration since 1999 that has built infrastructure like the present administration. As we speak, the biggest project ever done in Nigeria for the past 30 years is being done in the southeast, the second Niger bridge that goes from Asaba all the way to Owerri. The Lagos Abuja, it does not travel by road. You know they are in government, so they use flight. I travel by road. I drive the roads of Nigeria. I can tell you. That is why I reminded that Benin Auchi Road is bad, Benin Saple Road is bad. But if you are going to Lagos now, once you pass Ofosu, from Ofosu to Ijebu Ode to Lagos, to Shagamu to Lagos, they are almost 80% done with it. From Lagos to Ibadan, it's a Duaka, is the biggest I've ever seen. 10 lane, 5 going, 5 coming. Several others. Abuja, Kaduna. Then the Port Harcourt, Maiduguri, then Lagos, Benin, Port Harcourt, Maiduguri train line. They are all on stream. They are going on as we speak. That is not to say that this government has any justification. If Fares, let me give Fares what to criticize about the Buhari government, is the economy, not infrastructure. Because their party failed completely, both in infrastructure, economy, corruption, and as you may want to say, you can list it on.
So are they better today on those indices?
Yes, on those, what you can only criticize this government for is the economy and banditry, insecurity. And of course, we have said it. Somebody like me is not afraid to tell this government that you are failing here, and here. It is unacceptable, for example, for dollar to sell for over 500 naira. What kind of economy are you building like that? What are we going to eat? How are we going to implement? But here, let's bring it down home. He's able to talk about the federal government debt. Talk about Edo State government debt. At least the one where they borrow for Abuja with the Siam. That's how they make it feel like all the problem of Nigeria is Buhari. It is not Buhari. My problem, and the one I can hold, I can go to government house, is Edo State governor, Governor Godwin Obaseki. That's my governor. He's the one who is directly in charge of me. He gets his allocation. He gets his Paris refund. He gets his bailout. He gets this. He gets that. He gets security vote. I must be able to sleep with my 2 eyes closed. I don't know Buhari. He's too far away. Edo State governor, what are you doing with the money that has been given to you over time to take care of Edo people? That is the question we should be asking on this.
All right, thank you guys. Let's take a final word from there to call it a wrap.
It's kind of unfortunate that we'll see white and try to call it black, or see black and try to call it white. Today, Sonny, Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. In 2015, you were buying a liter of fuel for 86 naira. Today, you are buying it for 140 something, and they are still planning to increase it. In 2015, you could travel from Benin to Ekpoma or Benin to Auchi or Benin to anywhere. You could leave your house by 6 p.m. in the evening and get to Auchi by maybe 8 p.m. As we speak right now, when it's past 1 p.m., the bus is going to running those public transport. They don't even work after 1 p.m. Those going to Lagos, go and confirm it. They don't go because insecurity has enveloped the country. Strangers have come into the country and taken all over the forests. It wasn't like this in 2015. We had security challenges mainly in the northeast part of the country, which the then president was even attacking seriously. And then the president came and said, oh, he will make $1 to 1 naira. And what are we seeing today? We've seen that the pound itself is almost, if at the end of the year, it will hit 1,000. And the dollar was 190 something naira when the Buhari administration came in 2015. And they were even saying it was too bad. It's unacceptable. They cannot accept it. Today, Nigerians are less secure. Today, Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, which means if you have 500,000 naira in your account in 2015, that 500,000 is about $3,000 plus dollars. If you have 500,000 naira now in your account, it's just maybe $900 to $1,000. That will tell you that you are now become even poorer, even the big men. How much have Dangote lost in his net value? You see, in 2015, Dangote was up there in Forbes list, but now go and look at where he is now.
Still the richest man in Africa.
I'm talking about the Forbes list. Where was he in the world? His net value has dropped drastically. Nigerians have become poorer, and somebody is coming here to tell you, oh, that is not Buhari's administration. Buhari is not the problem. Well, Buhari failed in insecurity. Buhari failed in insecurity. Buhari failed. Tell me where has Buhari done well Nigeria for Nigerians? And Nigerians eating better than they were 5 years ago.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, if we can continue on this plan for the next 1 hour. The issues will just keep pouring out, but we'll take a pause here, which means that we can continue some other day. Idris, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Okay, I like that. I like that. It's the TMI Monday. We can't exhaust all the issues in one day. We just talk about them. Well, for some, we'll scratch the surface. But those who have been elected must live up to expectation. There is no point in having dictatorial tendencies. Allow the sanctity of human life to prevail. The rights of human beings must be upheld. We must try to do the needful to make our society a better place. We'll take a short break. We've got a couple of interviews coming up, particularly for those who are partnering with us with our forthcoming event, Independence of Where We're 2021. Stay tuned.